the build-up to the next match at Celtic Park has been anything but quiet. With another important league fixture approaching, the conversation around the club has been dominated by several off-field developments that have kept supporters talking all week. While attention should naturally be shifting toward the football, the reality is that the atmosphere around the club right now has a lot of layers to it, and many of them trace back to one ongoing situation that simply refuses to fade away. One of the biggest talking points continues to revolve around the absence of the Green Brigade inside Celtic Park. For many supporters, the feeling is that this situation has dragged on far longer than anyone expected. The group has been missing from the stadium for a significant stretch, and with another home game approaching, plenty of fans had hoped this would finally be the moment when everything would be resolved. Instead, the club released an update explaining where things currently stand, and the statement has sparked even more debate across the fan base. According to the club, a meeting was arranged with the Glasgow City Council Safety Advisory Group a few weeks ago in an attempt to push forward a pathway that would allow the Green Brigade to return to their section at Celtic Park. The intention, at least from the club's perspective, was to advocate for the group's re-entry in time for upcoming matches. However, during that meeting, the Safety Advisory Group reportedly raised a number of concerns that still need to be addressed before any return can take place. The issues being discussed focused largely on supporter terms and conditions, along with the stewarding and safety operations within that particular section of the stadium. In response, Celtic held further talks with representatives of the Green Brigade earlier this week, outlining the proposals that had been recommended to satisfy the requirements highlighted by the advisory group. The club's message was fairly straightforward. If the conditions set out by the Safety Advisory Group are accepted, it would allow Celtic to continue discussions with the council and potentially move toward bringing the group back into the stadium. From the club's perspective, the explanation is clear. They believe the pathway exists, but it requires cooperation with the safety and security measures being asked for by Police Scotland and the advisory group. Until that agreement is reached, the situation remains unresolved. Officials also indicated that they are currently waiting on a response from the Green Brigade regarding those proposals. That statement alone has triggered plenty of reactions among supporters, because there are many who feel the issue is far more complicated than the club's version of events suggests. The language used in the update has also drawn attention. At one point it was said that the ball is now in the Green Brigade's court, implying that the next move rests entirely with the supporters group. For some fans, that phrasing felt deliberate, especially considering the way similar expressions have been used in the past during disagreements between supporters and the club hierarchy. The reality is that there are clearly two sides to the story, and right now each side appears to have its own interpretation of what has actually happened behind the scenes. Celtic have suggested that they cannot override the guidance coming from the Safety Advisory Group or from Police Scotland. That point has been emphasized several times, with the argument being that the club must comply with the safety recommendations being put forward. However, that explanation has not convinced everyone. Some supporters believe the club could do more if they truly wanted to resolve the matter quickly. The truth probably sits somewhere between the two positions. Situations involving stadium safety, local authorities, and supporter groups are rarely straightforward, and once they become public disputes, they tend to grow more complicated with every passing week. Another element that has been discussed recently involves tensions between supporters and the police around match days. Some fans have pointed to social media activity from sections of the support that have been documenting police presence at matches. While that issue might seem minor to some observers, it has become part of a wider disagreement that reflects just how strained the relationship has become in recent months. All of this has created a messy backdrop around Celtic at a time when the focus should ideally be on the pitch. Supporters want to talk about performances, tactics, and results, yet the conversation keeps drifting back toward disputes, statements, and disagreements that feel never-ending. In many ways, the situation highlights how difficult it can be to find common ground when several different groups are involved, each with their own priorities and perspectives. What makes the debate even more frustrating for many supporters is the sense that the issue has lingered for far too long without any clear resolution. Every new update seems to raise as many questions as it answers. Some fans are now waiting to hear directly from the Green Brigade themselves, hoping they will outline exactly what conditions have been put in front of them and explain their position in detail. If that information becomes public, it may give the wider support a better understanding of where the sticking points really are. Until then, the situation remains at a standstill. Celtics say they are waiting for a response, while supporters continue to debate who is responsible for the delay. What should have been a straightforward build-up to another league match has instead turned into yet another chapter in a story that has dominated discussions around the club for much of the season. And with the next match just around the corner, many fans are simply hoping that sooner rather than later the focus can finally return to what matters most on the pitch. As if the ongoing discussions around supporters were not already dominating the conversation, another story began circulating that quickly grabbed the attention of the Celtic support. This time, however, the focus shifted away from the stands and toward the dugout, with fresh speculation emerging about who could eventually take charge of the club in the future. The report came from a rather unexpected place for Celtic-related news, but the claim was bold enough to spark immediate debate. According to the story, Robbie Keane has emerged as a leading candidate to become the club's next manager. The suggestion is that his recent work in European football has put him firmly on the radar of those making the decisions behind the scenes at Celtic. Keane's managerial journey has taken him through a number of interesting stops, including time working in Israel before moving to Hungary with Ferencváros. During that spell, he has managed to collect league titles and guide his side through European competition with some impressive performances along the way. From a purely football perspective, those achievements are enough to place his name into serious conversations about future opportunities. The report also suggested that Celtic's decision-makers believe Keane could be open to returning to Glasgow if the opportunity presented itself. Given his previous connection to the club as a player, that part of the story is not particularly surprising. Many supporters still remember his brief spell wearing the hoops, and his relationship with the club has never completely faded from memory. At the same time, the claim has opened up a much wider discussion among fans about the type of manager Celtic should be looking for when the next change eventually arrives. Some supporters believe the club may favor someone who already understands the culture and expectations that come with managing Celtic. Others argue that the next appointment should focus purely on tactical innovation and long-term development, regardless of background. What is widely accepted, however, is that the final decision will almost certainly come from the very top of the club's hierarchy. Historically, major managerial appointments at Celtic have required the approval of key figures within the boardroom, and that pattern has rarely changed over the years. Even when other names are considered or shortlists are created, the ultimate call tends to come down to a small group of decision-makers. When looking back at previous appointments, it is fair to say that Celtic have experienced a mixture of successful choices and difficult periods. Some managers have transformed the club with bold ideas and attacking football, while others have struggled to build momentum. Because of that history, every rumor about the next potential manager naturally creates strong opinions among supporters. In Keane's case, the debate has already begun. On one hand, there are fans who see his experience across different leagues and competitions as a positive sign. Winning titles, managing European fixtures, and working within different football cultures can only add to a coach's development. Those achievements suggest he has been learning the demands of management at a steady pace. On the other hand, there are supporters who remain unconvinced that he would be the right fit for Celtic at this particular moment. For many people, the next manager must be someone capable of uniting the support and guiding the club through a potentially complicated transition period. With changes expected in several areas of the football department over the coming months, stability will be an important factor. That is why some fans believe Celtic may ultimately lean toward a safer option when the time comes. Instead of taking a risk on a completely unfamiliar name, the club could favor a manager with strong ties to British or Irish football, someone who already understands the pressures that come with leading a club of Celtic's size. Managing Celtic is not just about tactics or training sessions. It also involves handling expectations from supporters, media, and the wider football community. Alongside Keane's name, a couple of other figures have reportedly been admired by people within the club. Among them are coaches who have built reputations through developing teams with attractive styles of play. Their work in the Scottish game has certainly caught attention this season, particularly as some clubs outside the traditional powerhouses have produced surprisingly strong performances. Another interesting element of the report involves the possible return of Sean Maloney to a more prominent role behind the scenes. Maloney is widely respected within Celtic's internal structure, and his previous work at the club earned him significant praise from those involved in the football department. Because of that reputation, many believe he could be part of a wider restructuring of the club's football operations in the near future. While no official moves are expected until the domestic season reaches its conclusion, the early speculation provides a glimpse into how the club may be thinking about its long-term future. Supporters know that the summer could bring a number of important decisions, not only regarding the manager, but also the overall direction of the team. For now, though, all of those discussions remain in the background as attention slowly begins to shift back toward the next match. Celtic Park will once again host another crucial league fixture, and despite everything happening off the pitch, the players still have a job to do. Matches like these often provide the perfect reminder that football itself remains the heart of everything surrounding the club. With Motherwell preparing to make the trip to Glasgow, there is a growing sense of curiosity about how the game might unfold. Their season has taken an interesting turn, and some observers believe they have become one of the more entertaining sides to watch in the league. That reputation alone adds another layer of intrigue to the encounter waiting at Celtic Park. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. Whispers have begun swirling around Celtic Park after what many are describing as a bold and unexpected shift from manager Martin O'Neill. The veteran boss, long associated with a particular footballing identity at Celtic FC, appears to be preparing a dramatic rethink that has caught supporters and pundits alike off guard. For weeks, there had been quiet murmurs behind the scenes that O'Neill was unhappy with certain aspects of the squad's rhythm and structure. Now, according to sources close to the club, the manager may be ready to overhaul far more than anyone anticipated. Tactical adjustments, positional changes, and even a subtle shift in dressing room hierarchy are all believed to be under consideration as Celtic approach a crucial moment in their season. Those familiar with O'Neill's managerial style know he is not prone to impulsive decisions. His reputation was built on careful planning and trust in a core group of players. That is precisely why the latest speculation has stirred such intrigue. If the manager truly is altering the blueprint, it suggests a deeper strategic recalibration rather than a simple reaction to recent performances. Inside Celtic Park, the atmosphere is said to be one of quiet curiosity. Training sessions have reportedly featured unfamiliar combinations, with certain players tested in roles rarely seen before. Observers claim the shape of the side may look noticeably different when they next take to the pitch, though club officials remain tight-lipped. Among the supporters, reaction has been mixed but largely fascinated. Some see the potential change as a necessary evolution, a sign that O'Neill refuses to allow the team to become predictable. Others worry that tampering with a familiar structure could bring unnecessary risk at a delicate stage of the campaign. Still, there is a sense that something significant may be brewing. In Scottish football, few figures command as much respect as Martin O'Neill, and when a manager of his stature appears ready to change everything, as some insiders suggest, people tend to pay attention. Whether this rumored transformation becomes reality remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. At Celtic, the coming days promise intrigue, debate, and the unmistakable feeling that the story is only just beginning. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.